Before we go, I want to go back to a story that really struck me today. A Suffolk woman is heading to Downing Street later today in a bid to raise awareness of Lyme disease. I hadn't heard of it, I have to say, before I spoke to Denise. Denise Longman from Raiden has been suffering with the condition for 26 years. 26 years. And today she will make the journey by taxi to join a rally at the Department of Health. Before she left for that journey, she explained to me exactly what Lyme disease is.
It's a bacterial infection that you get from when you've been bitten by ticks. And, you know, those horrible little eight-legged things that sometimes you might see on your cat or dog, or you might see them on yourself, and I saw them on myself 26 years ago. I didn't even know they were ticks, and they'd been stuck on my legs overnight, but they don't have to be on overnight, a minimum of 2 hours, I think, before the transmission, but they carry this disease, and it's becoming something of a European epidemic, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
And how does it affect you?
Well, it's over the period of all those years. It began. I felt a bit weird the next day, but I didn't get the terrible flu-like fever until a month later.
Okay.
And I've heard of some people that it doesn't come out and give them the bad symptoms until 2 months later, you know. And some people, they think it might be dormant in them. It's a very complicated disease, but I've been looking at it for the last 7 years because it took me 19 years before I found out I was positive.
Gosh.
Because the NHS tests, 3 of them were negative over, you know, at different periods of time.
So you must have been beside yourself wondering what it was if you weren't getting a diagnosis from those tests.
Oh, yeah, because I was, you know, labelled as having ME, chronic fatigue syndrome. And we found out that, according to a very eminent doctor in America, plus other statistics, that 50% of people he'd been treating for decades for ME, he thought, oh, they can't have Lyme disease, surely, but he tested them, and they were positive, 50% of those ME people.
Good grief.
And we know that ME is getting worse and worse every year, and so
is it? Sorry to interrupt you, but is it basically? You said it's a bacterial infection. Does it affect you by way of being fatigued? Are you just?
It's like having torture. It's like every day when I haven't really been to sleep tonight, because when I wake up in the morning after I've been asleep, I have to learn how to walk and talk again. So I've actually stayed awake all night to be able to speak to you, and I will sleep in the car going down to London, because that was the only way I could speak to you, because it's almost as if you've had a mini stroke when you go to sleep.
Grief.
It affects people, the pain. I'm not in such bad pain as I was, say, 6 years ago, but the pain can be excruciating.
And Denise, in terms of today, you're going down to Downing Street. I know you've saved up for the taxi ride, because taxi is probably the only way you can get down there. What are you hoping to achieve from this?
Well, we want to wake up we've been saying things privately and through different emailing MPs. Nothing's been done. You know, we've had questions asked in the House of Commons, and we've actually had what amounts to a lie being told us in the House of Commons, when a minister said, oh, you know, the minister's obviously been told by some negligent scientist, or somebody's told the minister that it's possible to detect 100% of the late Lyme disease cases, and that is so far from the truth that you would not believe it. I know hundreds and hundreds of people, I've got statements from them, who their tests were negative, even though they'd had the disease for 2, 3, 4 years.
That was Denise Longman speaking to me, Denise from Raiden, on her way to Downing Street today, suffering from Lyme disease and hoping to raise awareness. Tragic story, but really interesting to hear more about it. That's it for us for today. We're back tomorrow from 6.